Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. In this video, what we're going to do is just do a quick foray into creating layouts using Grid and Flexbox. And if you hear a bird chirping in my background, that's my cocktail Wally, so he's flying around. Now, let's see here. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to do is we're going to use Grid to create sort of the overall page layout. So we're going to just do kind of like the top menu bar with like a little side bar in a main body area. So when I think about that, that's going to be 3 divs. So first we have to create our wrapper or our container div. So we'll say div class equals, we'll call this the grid container slash div. Basically, when you use Grid or Flexbox, you always have to have a container div, and everything is inside the Grid container or the Flex container, and that's what allows you to take advantage of the grid behavior. Okay, and again, I want my menu bar. So we're going to have another div with class menu. Okay, I'll just copy and paste it 2 more times. We're going to have our sidebar, and we're going to have our main area. Save. So there's our divs. The rest we're going to do in CSS. So right now, if I were just to refresh that page, there's nothing there. And actually, let me clear out the JavaScript I have over here from my previous video so that doesn't interfere as well. Save. Okay. So first thing we have to do is that grid container. So I think it was just .grid. Yep. Okay, so .grid, and then we're going to say display, that we have to turn it into a grid container. So we have to do display grid. That tells CSS this box, this div here, anything inside of it is going to behave under the grid's rules. Okay, and then we're going to specify our grid template areas. There's different ways to specify your grid, but this is my favorite way. Grid template areas. Okay, so essentially we're going to have 2 rows. Okay, and each row gets its own quotation marks. So the first row is just the menu. So it's just going to be, so basically I'm going to think about it as there's that sidebar and the main area. So I'm going to think of this as a 2x3 grid. Okay, so basically it's 3 columns, 2 rows. And the whole first row is all the menu. So the menu is going to take up all 3 columns. So menu, menu, menu. And then the bottom, I want the side to take up 1 column and the main area to take up the other 2 columns. You know, if I'm imagining like sort of 3 evenly spaced columns and 2 rows. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm just saying, hey, there's 2 rows. This is kind of how I'm breaking down between my 3 divs. Cool. So I've created my grid. But now I need to specify those 3 divs and make sure that the grid knows that those grids are part of my thing. Okay, so let's go over here. Menu side main. Okay, so first we got to do the menu class, menu. And then we have to attach this thing called grid area. This is basically what I'm saying is, from this grid area that I specified, which one is this? So this one's menu. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, hey, this is this. Okay. And then we're going to just, so we can see the difference, color is going to be blue. Okay. And that's good. Now what I'm going to want to do is add over here, I'm going to add some padding just from the rest of the screen. I'm going to add some width, 90%, but that's going to make the grid uncentered. So I'm going to want to put margin auto to center the big box. Okay. And let me see if we see any changes yet. Yeah, that's what I figured. let me give the menu some height. So height, we'll say 200 pixels. Let's take a look here. So there's where I get. So you can see like the 3 columns that we defined in our area. But I think I need to put some content in it. So I'm just going to put like an A in each one, just so that way these appear. Yep, so there's the A. Okay, that's taking up all 3 rows there. Here's the side A, and then here's the A, but we still got to specify the size. And I just realized the reason why we're not seeing blue is because this needs to be background color blue. Background color blue. Save. So if we refresh, there you go. So you see there's my top row. Now if we do the side, dot side, I gotta say that this grid area is gonna be the side one. So I'm matching it up with the side over here. And then this one's gonna have a background color of orange. And then dot main will be grid area main, and that will get background color gray. Save. Okay, now if we go back and take a look, and they see there's the, and notice how, like, see, this one takes up 2 columns of the 3 column row, because that's the way I specified it in my grid areas. And again, it doesn't matter what the name of the class is, okay? The only reason it knows it's main is because I specified it here. I could switch them. I could say this is main now, and then this is side, and watch, the colors will change. And see, now it just swaps it. It's going to go wherever the grid area I specify is. So again, it's based on that particular property that kind of decides how it behaves. Save. Cool. So we have our layout. I'm going to make this, I'm going to give this a height of 600 pixels. Save. Save. Just for the visual. And there you go. So you see, now you have a website, kind of like I said, with the menu bar theoretically, the side. Now, of course, we could go back here, add padding, do all sorts of things to make it look prettier. But again, we got our overall page layout. Now, what I want to do is have a bunch of, I want to have a bunch of divs in here. Okay. So let's go back and play with that. So let's see here. Okie dokie. So let's see here. Now we want to create some blocks. So I'm going to create, so in this main area, we want to create a bunch of divs. Each of these divs are going to have the class of card. Well, actually, first we have to create a container for those divs. No, actually, I can just make the main the Flexbox. So the main, this main div will be a container for those cards. So div class equals card. Okay, slash div. Save. And then we'll create 3 of those. First, let's just sketch out the shape of the card. Keep hitting the wrong button. Okay. This one. Okay. And no, I want to go to the CSS right now. Index.css. Let's go to the card. And the grid area, no, we don't need to change the grid area here. We're just going to say these are height 200 pixels and width 200 pixels. And they have a background color of pink. Save. So now if I go over here and we refresh, see we have these three divs that are just kind of stacked on top of each other. So I go here, and these are just stacked right on top of each other, which is not the effect that I want. I want them to be kind of in rows. So what I need to do is take the container that it's in, this main div, and change its display property, display to flex. So that way it creates a flex row. Now if the screen for some reason can't fit them all, I want them to wrap to the next row. So I gotta change flex wrap to wrap. And now if I go back and I refresh, now they wrap, but see they're still all scrunched up together. So I'm gonna use justify content to do space between, so that way they're all evenly spaced in the row. Okay. Oh, no, I want to do space around because I don't want them on the edge. Space around. And a game called Flexbox Froggy. So if you just Google Flexbox Froggy, you'll find it. It's a great game to get used to like those spacing properties. So now if I refresh this, and there we go. So Flexbox allows me to create a row. So you can imagine this like if these were like product cards. So these are different products. And see, I have a Flexbox in my grid. Okay, very neat. But let's say I wanted like little tags in those cards. So we'll put even more divs. So I'll just do it in one of them. Div class equals tag gibberish slash div. Save. Okay, add those three. Now if we go back, we'll see if I refresh. Right now they're just stacked on top of each other. So if I go inside here, then we go inside that first card, and we see these three are just stacked on top of each other. But I want them to be like little tags, kind of like you'll see in just a moment. So I'm going to need to make each card its own flex container. So let's go back to index.css. Let's turn the card into its own flex container. Display flex. Okay, cool. And then we need to change the formatting of those tags. So tag. We're just going to say they are, just say width 60 pixels, height 30 pixels. We'll give padding of 5 pixels. Just give a little space. Background color white. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, getting there, but see, it still doesn't quite look like a tag. We want some space between those. So let's say margin 5 pixels. Okay, and let's actually add a wrap to this. Flex wrap. Wrap. So with the card will wrap the tags. We're going to add a little space between the tags, so that's margin. We want to have some padding in the card, so that way those little tags aren't nested up against the edge of the card. Padding 5 pix. Save. Let's go back here. And see, it's kind of getting there. Spacing is not quite exactly the way we'd like it. Let's make the box a little bit smaller. Say 20 and 50. Let's make the font size smaller. Font size, say 0.5 EMs. Save. Okay, it's kind of getting there. Not really, it's too much. Smaller, 0.75. And we want to center that text. Save. Let's see where we're at. I don't see the space between the rows. Not a big fan of that. Let's fix that. Let's go over here. And that's going to be aligning it vertically. So when it's Flexbox and you're setting up rows to vertically align things, you're going to use this. So I want them to actually, no, I want them to align at the end of the box. Save. So let's see how that looks now. Getting it's still a little more space between them than I'd like, so I gotta figure out where that's coming from. So let's go here. Let's discard here, and let's just see here. Okay, so the space between rows. What's causing the space between the rows? Let's see here. Align items. Go to align content. No, that's kind of what I just did. Background color. The margin is only 5 pixels. That's not what's causing it. Let's go back and take a look. Yeah, it's just you know, you play around with it, but you get the idea. So the point is, if you take a look at this design, you have a grid container that holds these 3 divs. This div is its flex container, which holds these 3 divs, and each of these smaller ones are another flex container that holds a bunch of more of those small divs. And you know, so basically, it's literally like building blocks. So once you get the hang of using like grid and flex to start creating your containers and creating divs in those containers and basically using them like building blocks, really like what the layout can be is really just your imagination. Especially using those grid template areas is pretty handy. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys in another video. Have a great one. Ciao.